manufacture reality, fake news, and politics. My name is Abby Mosqueda, and I am here with my co-host Kat Livingston and our guest speaker Kailey Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Kat Livingston. I'm the co-host and an expert. I'm a senior at URI. I'm a comm major. I'm from Westerly, Rhode Island, and I'm super excited to be here today.
Hi, my name is Kailey Lockwood. I am the expert on this podcast. I'm from New York. I'm a junior at URI studying communications and political science.
In today's episode, we will be diving into a topic that feels more relevant now than ever: the rise of artificial intelligence and fake news in politics and the media. As AI technology becomes more advanced and more accessible than ever now, it has completely reshaped political propaganda in the 21st century. In a world where everything looks real, how do we know what to believe? Before I dive in, I would like to provide the definition of fake news. According to Cambridge Dictionary, fake news is, quote, false stories that appear to be news, spread on the internet or using other media, usually created to influence political views or as a joke. But in 2026, this definition feels incomplete. AI now allows people to generate images, generate videos, and even entire narratives that look completely realistic. The lines between truth and manipulation are becoming increasingly blurred. These strategies political figures are using are raising many important questions about trust, democracy, and how citizens can protect themselves from being misled. As we begin with the episode, we will explore how fake news functions as political propaganda, why it's so persuasive, and the real-world effects it can have on elections and public opinions. We will also discuss practical solutions and ways to navigate this ongoing challenge in our current digital age.
I would also say that the definition should include artificial intelligence as a form of fake news, or at least it's now a major way that fake news is created and shared.
When you hear the term fake news, what does it mean to you? Who defines what is actually fake?
I don't necessarily think of fully fabricated news, though this is still true. I mostly think of misleading information specifically put out by news sources or political figures. I think of media bias and one's loyalty to their opinions, which leads to them unintentionally or even intentionally misleading the public. Most fake news that you see is politically motivated. I wish I could say they come from unofficial sources like random people on social media, but this is clearly not always the case. The White House, for example, and Republican TikTok accounts post a lot of fake news or AI-generated images. Like I said before, I think AI is highly involved in fake news, especially today. I think the public determines what they think is fake. For some people, they're politically biased, so they might think one thing is fake and another thing's true, while vice versa for another. A lot of times, people declare something fake, even if it has been proven true, or the opposite.
Yeah, I agree. I think we saw the term fake news really blow up around the 2016 election, with Donald Trump using the term to discredit not only false stories, but also whole organizations like CNN and the New York Times. To me, fake news is much about trust as it is truth. It reflects growing skepticism towards media institutions and the speed at which information spreads online. Not only is fake news a spreading issue, but so is also throwing around the term. After Donald Trump started calling out credible sources as fake news, it becomes much easier to question and undermine factual reporting. When I hear it, I think about how difficult it's become to separate fact from narrative. Important media literacy and critical thinking are in the digital world, where anyone can publish and algorithms reward outrage over accuracy.
I really agree with both of those statements.
I think it's a great point that the way that it's thrown out is definitely becoming an issue. Like you said, Donald Trump calls practically everything fake news.
Everything.
Yeah, and that's obviously an issue because he's a huge political figure that inspires many people, and they are going to believe what he says, and when he calls and discredits credible sources fake news, that just leads them to believe him.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of something last week. Some friends were sitting around a table and somehow the Epstein files got brought up. And I was like, me and one of my friends were talking and we were like, oh yeah, like they're eating people apparently, like some like crazy stuff. And my roommate's boyfriend goes, fake news, that's fake news. And me and my friend are sitting there saying, no, like these are the FBI documents, like these are like, they can't get more real than this. And he just brushes it off as fake news. And it's hard to combat the term fake news when you can just brush anything off as fake news, no matter how credible it is.
Right. I totally agree with both of your guys' statements. I feel like people, again, overuse the use of fake news and underuse it. I feel like people call fake news but don't know if it's actually credible or not, and it's hard to decipher what is real and what isn't now, with so much AI and all of that. So according to an AP News article, Finnish children are learning media literacy as young as 3 years old to protect themselves from the Russian propaganda. Teachers are adding media literacy focused on AI disinformation to their curriculum. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the amount of disinformation or fake news that Russia was putting out was significantly increasing. Again, disinformation challenges democracy, and I feel like seeing other countries enforcing media literacy and just having curriculums on that topic is very important, and it's kind of crazy that they're that educated that they know that the propaganda is going on, that they are already implementing it into their curriculum, and I think that's awesome. Obviously, nobody wants any of this propaganda going on in Russia, but I think it's awesome, again, that they're putting it into their curriculum. And this brings me to my question. Should media literacy be taught in schools in the United States?
I definitely think media literacy should be taught in schools in the United States. I didn't learn about media literacy until I was a freshman in high school, which I still think is earlier than a lot of people. After I graduate, I plan to become a teacher, and I'm not sure how much power I have over the actual curriculum yet, but I intend to teach media literacy to my students. I want to teach like 3rd grade, so I feel like that's a good age to start. Once the students can read, I feel like they should be able to learn media literacy, and they should learn media literacy. It's important for them to be able to distinguish between what is true and what is false, especially as they get older and do research projects, or if they go into politics, or if they go into journalism or anything. And it is definitely getting harder and harder to distinguish between the two, especially if you don't have any previous training in media literacy, and once AI is put into the picture too, even more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree that kids should be taught media literacy in school. Students need tools to evaluate sources, recognize bias, and understand how algorithms shape what they see, and distinguish between opinion, propaganda, and verified reporting. In a media-saturated environment, media literacy is a civic skill that helps people participate responsibly in democracy and make informed decisions in their everyday lives. Professor Renee Hobbs wrote about media literacy in her book, Mind Over Media. She said, quote, "One way to support students learning about partisanship is through studying the curated lists and charts that identify the various sources of news and journalism. Such charts have lists that have values for learners who are beginning to explore news and journalism," end quote. So we have a chart here, the different news outlets, different news sources, and their partisanship. Obviously, most of these news sources are somewhat credible, so there's not the biggest fear of AI or completely fake media, but I think it's also important in terms of media literacy to know the partisanship and the bias of the sources you're reading. If someone's only reading CNN, they're probably going to look at the world with a very left view, and if they're only watching Fox, you're not going to see both sides. You're not going to see the bipartisan lens. You're going to see what those reporters want you to see.
Yeah, definitely. According to the American Library Association, both high school and undergraduate students are unable to identify misinformation online. The CRAP test, CRAAP, which many students are taught in school, including myself, can often lead students astray, which surprised me when I learned that, because that was basically how I did all of my research in high school to make sure it was reliable. For those who don't know, CRAP stands for Currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. And you ask yourself those questions as you find an article, make sure it fits all of those categories, and then it's a good one to use, I thought. This is an acrostic that is supposed to help students when choosing a reliable source. However, the most effective and successful way to identify misinformation is through lateral reading. Lateral reading is when you look at different sources to figure out if the information is accurate, if it has any bias, or if it's reliable at all. So our first piece of propaganda that we're going to analyze is a series of images and videos from the New York Times that misinform citizens in Mexico. They are AI generated. Viewer discretion advised, as this video shows graphic scenes of what is going on.
Se espanta, no sabemos realmente qué pasa, no se escucha absolutamente nada, pero la gente empieza a correr. Hemos estado viendo desde aquí, desde el aeropuerto, videos y fotos de un supuesto avión quemándose aquí en el aeropuerto. Evidentemente no es cierto.
There were images and videos that were not real. People started posting that the gangs were just shooting randomly and killing people in town. That wasn't true.
I saw that there were AI images of a church downtown being burned, and that really created panic for those of us that live here.
There's no official news report, the authorities have not really said much. We're all just kind of in the dark.
I've owned a drone for several years for content creation purposes. It really became my eyes to be able to know what was happening on the ground. It looked like all of Costco was on fire, but in reality, I took the drone out and I could see that it was just vehicles in the parking lot.
There was a young man running at us with a gun, came around and pointed through the window at my head and was screaming in Spanish, "Get out of the car, get out of the car." He threw an incendiary device, a bomb or something, in the car, which quickly exploded in flames. And then he did the same to the truck that was there.
Ahora que hay inteligencia artificial y otras cosas, pues se puede prestar. O sea, fíjense cómo ha evolucionado esto. Todas las mentiras que se dijeron el domingo, aviones quemándose, ¿dónde?
After watching the video, I feel as though this video shows just how easily people can fall for fake news. It also shows how serious consequences are. With the conflict and issues in Mexico, seeing images of a plane on fire at the airport combined with claims linking to the cartel, it's terrifying. I don't know what I would be able to do in that situation, and anybody in that situation is valid to be afraid. Even when the events are exaggerated or completely fabricated, the fear and confusion that spreads are just very real emotions, and a lot of people can't relate to that because they've never dealt with something like that. It's a very powerful example of how misinformation can manipulate emotions and shape the public's perception.
Some of what was shown in that video actually is the truth. Like when they showed the cars on fire outside of Costco, the cars actually were on fire and people were bombing them with exploding devices. And then some of it was obviously fake, like the plane on fire. So when mixing the truth with fake news, it's hard to be able to decipher what's true and what's false.
Yeah, and even like the Costco with the cars, like I was seeing pictures when this was going down, like, oh my God, the whole Costco's on fire. But that's just like the angle that the pictures were taken, and it wasn't the Costco, it was the cars that were on fire. And I know one of my friends, Santiago, is a half resident in Mexico, half resident in America, and he was in Puerto Vallarta. This was happening. He was there, like, while this was happening. He just got back. And I remember that day talking to him, and he was like sending me these pictures, and he was like, this is what's going on. Like, there's gunmen at the airport, like, the city is on fire. Like, he was really scared. I was scared for him because, you know, when there's pictures and videos of people at the airport with planes on fire and reports of gunmen storming in, you know, obviously that's going to freak everyone out, both him and Mexico, everyone in Mexico. I mean, we saw that woman at the airport in the video, like, clearly everyone there was freaking out. But then also, like, us back here in America now, like, we know from that video, okay, those things weren't true, but a lot of people probably don't know that. A lot of people saw, you know, the plane on fire, saw these pictures, and were like, Mexico's on fire right now. And, you know, it's a hard line between a half truth and a truth, and just like ramping up chaos with these AI pictures.
Yeah, I feel like because a lot of it has been proven fake, people are focusing on that rather than the fact that there still is some truth behind it, that there's a war going on between Mexico government and the cartel. And I know I have a friend who goes to University of Delaware, and she was telling me that her school trip, spring break trip, is to Cancun, and people are still going despite the conflict in Mexico. And I feel like they're going because they're not taking it seriously, because it's been proved, some of it has been proved to be fake. So I feel like there's definitely like a fine line.
Yeah, it's a hard line when it's something, I mean, obviously we know propaganda can be something that is a half-truth, and when you use AI pictures, it's hard to call it a half-truth. But in terms of like, oh, the cartel and the Mexico government are in conflict, that is true, and it's hard to really understand what actually is going on when there's just so much misinformation going on.
Right. I definitely agree with that. It's honestly terrifying that people are like okay with going over there and still going knowing what's going on for spring break. But I don't blame them because, again, all of the misinformation and fake news that's going around, I feel like now we're so accustomed to like looking at everything and like evaluating it and like deciphering if it's real or not. And it's getting so difficult to decipher what's real and what's real and what's not. So when people are not taking things seriously, it's like, well, they probably don't think that most of this is real, it's fake, you know what I mean? But in reality, like, a lot of the things are happening, and a lot of it is fake, but a lot of it is happening, and this is a real issue. And I feel like it's just a hard topic or a hard situation for people not experiencing it in the actual country, because they're not there firsthand experiencing it. Like if I went on spring break, I mean, I don't know what I would do. I'm not going to Cancun, but if we were to, I'm not really sure what people would be doing at URI specifically with that, because again, we don't know exactly what is real and what's not. So I do know that Trump is a avid user of AI in his presidency. In the New York Times article titled "How Trump is Using Fake Imagery to Attack Enemies and Rouse Supporters," we learn that Trump uses fake news and AI images to mock criticism, celebrate himself, and mislead the public. I think it's frustrating to have a authoritarian figure, somebody with so much power, using AI in a negative way. And I know
it's
certain
just in the way that he's using
it's just
right.
immature.
It's the way that he's going about it, and I think that some of these AI videos are just like not even necessary, and a lot of people are making them too. But for the government and our president of the United States to be kind of making jokes about certain situations through AI images and videos and like just like anything is just kind of inappropriate. I think that there's a productive way to use AI, and I feel like sometimes AI in politics can have a really negative effect. So we're gonna evaluate some images that we found from the New York Times article about Trump using the fake imagery to attack enemies. So we're gonna evaluate a few of the images, and yeah.
So these are some of the pictures. As you can see, they're very clearly AI generated. I think it's really interesting to look at them and consider, like, this is what our president is sharing and posting, especially that one right there in the middle of Barack Obama being pretty much forced to his knees to bow and carried away and brought to jail. Like, that's just
it's just
insane.
too much. It's just too much.
I remember, I think we talked about this maybe last week in the class, but they're altering pictures of people's arrests, specifically like the DHS arrests. You can see like the actual photo, and then they take a photo and make them look like cracked out and crying and all types of things, and then they post it on the DHS official government, and they're like, you know, another junkie off the streets, and it's very harmful, completely very concerning.
Like, even when we did that assignment a few weeks ago about the political propaganda, I don't know if you guys ended up doing like political, if it was about political specifically, but like the one that I found was about political, and it was like posted on the White House Twitter or something, and it was just like complete, like it was just an inappropriate post. And it's kind of crazy to think about how these people are posting this, and like obviously there's backlash, but you'd think that there would be like more backlash about it, but there's like I feel like
it's just so normal.
It's normalized, and I think that that's a big issue also, especially within politics, of like using AI to like manipulate the like goal or like the audience. So one specific one that I pointed out or noticed was the Obama one behind bars. I think if you scroll up,
it's the first section.
Yeah, that one I feel like is just not necessary. Like, why are we even making like?
And President Obama is not a criminal. Has never been.
Exactly. I feel like he's associating like Black people with prison, and I think that that's kind of wrong.
Extreme,
or just his enemies. Anyway,
it's extremely wrong. It's not kind of wrong, right? And it's kind of weird. Again, like you just said, enemies, right? Like, why is he making enemies with people that aren't even like affecting him? Or I don't know exactly, but like Obama's not even in like.
Obama hasn't been president for a while.
That's what I mean, for like so long. So why are we still like making these? I don't know. I just feel like he's almost using these AI pictures and whatever to like normalize these like racist and like he just like is kind of making himself seem like he's better than everybody else. And I think that his point of like going that way, his like guide to do that, is like not the right strategy to have your people like want to support you as a politician, you know?
Yeah, one video I want to point out, it's brought up here, it's on the bottom. It's a video fully AI of the Gaza Strip, as Trump wants to Trump Gaza. And I think it's concerning for so many reasons. One, obviously just the use of AI. Two, I mean, everyone knows the war that's going on there right now. You know, the massacre these people are facing. And his plan is not, you know, it's not peace, it's not a ceasefire, it's let's get everyone out of here and let's make it Trump Gaza and let's make everything gold.
Right.
It's very
like leader, like it what's the word?
It's very like dictatorship.
I was gonna say like Hitler, like and it's terrible that we're even living through a time in our lives that this is going on, because like you listen to things, you read books, watch movies about other countries, or you read a book about World War II. It's like, oh, that would never happen, but like it's kind of scary because so many people are just like on board with it. And you can believe in whatever you want, you know, but I do think that a lot of things are being taken way out of hand.
Yeah, there's got to be a line somewhere.
Yeah, and it's like we're letting it happen. People like, which I don't get.
If you scroll down to the next section, I believe, of photos, the one, I think it's below the Cracker Barrel. That one in the bottom corner, you can't really see, but it's Trump. He's wearing a crown and then dropping. He's literally, excuse my language, dropping shit. Like, he's shitting on, like, people who are protesting him.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Cities. And then it says King Trump. And the next one after that is him putting a crown on, which is just crazy. Because he's not a king. Yeah. And he's just spreading that news. Like, he's spreading this news to people. And
like, even him playing the piano, like, what?
People believe it.
People believe it, especially our parents.
This and they say, "Oh, okay, he's my king. I should worship him in everything he does." And it's just, I don't know.
I'm honestly like, I'm struggling to come up with reasons that, like, why. Like,
no, literally, why? Like,
what are you? I don't know.
What are you trying to get at? I think he's trying to get attention.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guess all press is good press.
Yeah.
I think he's just someone that's very, like, obsessed with himself. So, like, oh, I'm obsessed with myself. Yeah, let me play the drums at the Super Bowl. Like,
yeah, like, they're all just, like, absurd. And, like, the White House posted these.
He posted some. The White House posts some.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
Cats for Trump. Like, I don't know.
As a cat, no.
Canada, like, this one was really messed up right here. How he put, like, a sombrero and, like, a mustache because he's like a man of color.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure we all saw a few weeks ago the Obamas as apes.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was so terrible. And it's just horrible because it's being normalized. Like, his followers, like, the people that support Trump, like, the extremists, they're, I don't know if they're believing it, but they're supporting him in these decision making.
Yeah, they don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, and I think that's also an issue that they don't see a problem with this.
I think you said they're normalizing it. I think that's, like, actually important because they're normalizing the spread of fake news. They're normalizing the head of the free world, essentially, spreading fake news and
spreading propaganda. Like,
yeah, like, it's just not.
But it's not propaganda.
There's no place for this.
Right. It's not propaganda, and I know that there's, like, certain propaganda that you can, like, be productive in and kind of get.
Yeah, like from World War II, like getting women into fighting, like that. There's propaganda there that works.
Right. But I feel like now, yes, it's out of control. And I think that
now is more putting down other people and bringing yourself up rather than getting people to do a collective thing.
Yeah, like, look at this video. Obama's getting arrested? It's just terrible because
if you look, did this really happen? Is this real footage of Obama being arrested? Like, people think it's real. Because why shouldn't it be real if our president is posting this?
Exactly. You'd think that somebody valid, especially our president, has real information.
Yeah, and so people could give the impression, like, oh, Obama's getting arrested by the FBI. Like, what did he do? He must have, done something. He must be this horrible criminal when he hasn't done anything.
Right. And then it brings it back to, like, the whole, like, just discrimination against other people. It's like, people see that people that are supporting Trump see a video that, okay, it's AI, and they might know it's fake, but, like, they're seeing a video of Trump making a video of a previous president that is the first black man to ever be our president, and he's being put in handcuffs, like, especially our older generation. Like, I send things to my parents, and they're like, my mom will be like, oh, look at this cute dog video. I'm like, that's AI.
Yeah.
And I feel
so
like,
many people can't.
Right, and I feel like recently I've been noticing that, like, I can't decipher things that are real and fake.
Yeah,
and it's scary.
Getting harder.
It's scary, and I think that
definitely getting harder. I mean, to go back on the Mexico videos, like, I didn't know that those were fake until someone told me that they were fake.
Yeah.
Right.
The plane on fire looked very real, and I knew that the cartel was, having a stand.
Right, and you don't know if it's a real threat or not, because I feel like, have been brought up to question the internet. You know, like our parents, their generation, they believe everything they see, where like I feel like recently we've been taught to not
Don't
learn.
believe everything you see on the internet, literally.
Exactly, because people's opinions, like just because somebody's opinion, they say something, it doesn't mean that it's real information.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's just important that we recognize the issue, you know?
Yeah. So we can move away from Trump now and start just going into regular AI.
Okay, so Henry Ader, an expert in AI, touches on artificial intelligence and fake news, saying, quote, Trump is the most notable person sharing this content, but this is really international new form of political messaging, end quote. So for the question, do you think AI and fake news should have a role in politics, or do you think that it's better off being a separate entity?
I think it depends on the role. Artificial intelligence is always going to have a role in politics now. It definitely is helpful in some aspects, especially during campaign and election season. It can be used for good or for statistical purposes, like counting the votes. However, some people don't believe that it does it correctly. On the other hand, artificial intelligence can be used for bad. People like Trump use it irresponsibly, as we were saying. In my opinion, the way that he uses AI is immature and childish, and I don't think it should be used in politics that way. It could be used for good. Obviously using AI takes up a lot of water and energy, so it would be best if we keep it out as much as possible, but I don't think that's going to happen, so using it minimally and in the correct way would be best. When it comes to fake news, I think it should be cut out. I think fake news should be cut out completely. I only see it as harmful. If there's space for fake news, where does the line stop? Can everyone just lie and make stuff up? We're supposed to trust these people. These people are supposed to tell us what to believe, what's the truth, and now all of a sudden they're lying to us just to get interaction, just to get people to click on it. So how does that impact the public? Like, fake news having a role in politics just leads to chaos. In the 2020 election, fans of Donald Trump were so motivated by the fake news that he was putting out, they ended up storming the Capitol on January 6th, which is like extreme. I'd have no other words. Like, if this could happen, like, what's to prevent them from going one step further?
Yeah, and that was before the AI era too.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I agree with you that Trump using AI so much is dangerous and immature. Especially, I think it's ironic for him to be using it the way he does because of how often he's calling credible sources fake news. And your question kind of touches on 2 points: the usage of AI and fake news and teaching media literacy. We already talked about the importance of teaching kids how to recognize and respond to these types of things. But the hard part is there's so many American adults that haven't been taught this. And then that rolls into the danger of this. A lot of people see this and either believe it's real or see it and have no problem with him posting it, both of which are detrimental to the future of media literacy. And I know we kind of talked about this, but a lot of older generations aren't as tech savvy and have a much, much harder time distinguishing AI versus truth. No, like, they may not even know that AI is a thing. So, I know I get notifications whenever my grandpa likes or comments on anything on Facebook, and it's a lot of AI pictures.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh,
Going off like that, like the older generation, my grandma always sends me these things, and I'm like, it breaks my heart to tell her that it's AI, but she's so, like, susceptible to fall for AI and fake news because she's 83 or something and just hasn't been taught media literacy. And I feel like also, like, she watches a lot of Fox News, and so she's already like unconsciously, like, being told all this fake news.
My grandparents also watch a lot of Fox News, and I just think that it's very skewed. Both of them, like, both sides of, there's always like a super extreme side of news outlet, and then CNN, right, being the Democratic. It's like, I wish that there was more sources that we could rely on that were more in the middle.
Yeah,
I feel like it's either one or the other.
I'm taking a class, and my professor told me that if we're looking up research, we need to start with AP News, because that's skewed either way. It's just tells you what you need to know. It tells you the facts. It doesn't tell you
Right.
Yeah, and that goes back to the chart that we looked at about what sources are, what bias. In terms of AI, do you guys think, obviously I think we all agree that AI is a big concern, especially on social media and especially when it comes to the political realm. What would you guys think, what do you think we need to do as a society to kind of fix?
That's a tough question. I mean, we can't, like I said, we can't get rid of AI completely, I think. And they're coming up with more solutions to make AI more easily available and not use so much energy and resources and water. So I feel like people just need to, we can't make them do anything, but I feel like people just need to grow up and realize like how detrimental it is to society and what they're doing is hurting us and hurting the society and the economy. But I feel like it's a tough question.
Yeah, it's hard to ban it, especially something with AI. I mean, now, like, so many, I mean, there's Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, like, there's so many different ways that you can create things. I mean, I would say in my perfect world, like, there could be a law passed where only, like, not everybody gets access to AI to, like, very basic levels, I think.
Or make it, like, extremely expensive so people aren't willing to pay for it.
Yeah, and I think keeping it completely out of the political realm, completely out of social media, again, it's hard, especially when obviously Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, like, he runs the social media and he also creates his own AI. So, like, you know, it would be hard to ask to keep AI out of.
It's taught how to use AI correctly from a young age. Like, if we start incorporating that into the school system and seeing, so students know how to use it correctly. Because right now, some of my teachers encourage us to use AI. We just have to, like, source it and cite it correctly. But I feel like, obviously, like, people aren't going to do that because they were never taught the right way to use it. So I feel like more emphasis on education.
Yeah, and we can teach the younger kids, but, you know, there's already how many generations of people alive that aren't going to be going to school learning this.
I feel like we're so far advanced at this point that, like 2022, like, it was still, like, becoming kind of, like, a common thing. People were finding out about it, people were using it, but comparing it to, like, then versus, like my senior year of high school versus my senior year of college, I've completely noticed, like, a significant change in, like, my personal, like, experience, but, like, other people too, like, just relying on AI for, like, simple things. Like, people rely on, like, AI for an email, and, like, I love that I can use that for, like, ideas and kind of help me, like, get something in my brain and get it on the paper. But I also feel like it's affecting our society's, like, comprehension skills and, like, reading skills and, like, being able to read something, you know?
Yeah,
and, like,
one of my professors, actually, I would say a lot of my professors at the beginning of the year, like, obviously had to talk about AI. And pretty much something that most of them said was, like, AI, if you use it so much, like, your brain is a muscle. And if you don't use it, you lose it. You know, and if you use AI to do everything, to write everything, you're losing the skill. You're losing the ability to read, to write. And it's important that people know that, and just going into that when you use AI for everything, you become so dependent on it that you can't do it without, you can't make a grocery list without AI anymore.
Exactly. It's pretty much a drug at this point. I feel like
people are addicts. They can't.
Yeah. As human beings, I feel like we naturally we try and find solutions to our issues, and I feel like this is the first, like, significant, like, I mean, Google, you can look up things, but it never, like, told you exactly what was, like, what to write, and now it's like you're writing,
like, the Gemini or whatever.
Yeah, like, it's impersonating, like, how you would talk and spitting out information, and, like, I'm worried that a lot of people, the younger generations, like, our generation definitely, like, started with AI and is progressing with it. But now, like, the younger generation, especially after COVID and being online for everything, like, after that, like, all of these, like, younger generations are just, like, constantly online.
Yeah, that's all they're gonna know. Like,
exactly. And, like, now I took a class last semester, and it was, like, social media literacy or whatever. And it was how AI is literally like affecting our like just the way our brain is working. Like these young kids can't have conversations with people, like they don't know how to like socially act, like
like brain rot is real.
Yeah, like stuff like that. And I feel like when we were growing up, we had like memes, we had all of that stuff, like, but it also wasn't shared to the extent that it is today. And now all of these things are being shared, but we can't even decipher what's real or not. And like, even as we're getting older, we still don't even, like, we don't know either. So what are we supposed to teach these younger generations, that we rely on AI for everything, to do everything? Like, you know, what are the ramifications of this? Like, AI is only going to keep getting more technologically advanced, and there's really nothing we can do about it, because again, people in our power and our higher ups are more concerned about the profit coming out of the views from the profit from the views and getting that engagement, that I think people are just lacking like the social concern of like our society.
Yeah, I think what Kailey said a little while back, that the brain is a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
It's like that really stuck out to me, because I didn't start using AI until like halfway through junior year of college, because I was just scared of it. I didn't want to like succumb to it. And like, I don't use it for everything, but I definitely do use it to help me like polish some stuff, make it sound a little better. And then I usually like rewrite it into my own words, so it's not like it's my words put into AI back into my words just to clean it up. But I was looking at some of my papers from like sophomore year, and I was like, wow, like I've never written better than I have in these papers.
I was a
like
better writer before.
I could write a whole 10-page paper by myself, which like sounds like nothing, but now I feel like that's so hard for someone to say like, oh, I could do like write a 10-page paper.
It's the constant connectivity, I think, is the issue, because like when we grew up, we'd write, and the professor or the teacher would be like, okay, like you need to write an essay. Like I would write it down on paper, and then I would like revise it on paper. I would mess it up a million times, and I would rewrite it a million times. It's very like hard for me to just write something out with no like kind of clear, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know where I'm trying to go.
Yeah. I need like the points. Sometimes I don't understand what the professor's saying, so I'll copy and paste it, put it into ChatGPT. ChatGPT will explain it to me in a way that I understand, and then I can get the assignment done productively and correct. I'd rather just put it in and get it right than not.
You know, so many students in the elementary schools, like, they're doing everything on a computer, and AI or not, I think that's losing a lot of skills, you know. I remember when I was in 8th grade, we were taking the standardized test, and they switched us to computers, and you know, all of a sudden, oh, I have to do math on a computer. Like that's not gonna work.
They give you like one sheet of paper,
and I feel like it made it less stressful too once it got onto the computer, because I knew that I had access to the internet. I knew that there were ways to get around it, where when I was sitting at my desk and my teacher gave me a full packet for the New York State test, and I would sit there for 4 hours, like that was more intimidating, but my brain was working like significantly more than when I would take a test on the computer, you know.
I feel, going back to AI and social media, have either of you been persuaded by things that you've seen on social media?
Yeah, so I've definitely noticed that I personally can be persuaded by things I see on social media, especially they play on my emotions and come from sources I trust. Bringing it back to like our government, like we should trust our government to post valid information, but unfortunately, like we can't, you know, because we don't know what's real or not. So for an example that I could think of would be when I'm on Instagram or TikTok, ads always come up with like websites that I usually shop at or are like interested in, because they kind of look at my algorithm and base off like what I look at for ads. I think that constant advertisements for buying products just make it so easily persuasive, and I always end up convincing myself that I need it for something, or I could wear this then, like, you know what, I have this coming up, like maybe I could wear that, and then I buy it and I never wear it.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like ads always have some sort of like promo code too, like 50% off or like free shipping, and I think that really like grabs users' attention to be more persuaded to buy something, because it's like, oh, you know what, like I could have been spending $50, but like now with 50% off I'm only spending $25, you know. So like things like that make you feel like, okay, well, like this is only happening now, like I need to do it, like the urgency of needing to do it right now. I feel like that always persuades me, since it just makes me feel like I'm saving money and benefiting from the specific purchase. Even if it's like at the supermarket, it's like I went to the supermarket today and it was like 2 for $5, but like each individual can or whatever, it was like corn or something, each was like $2.50. So it's like they're just doing that to confuse you and make you feel like,
make it seem like you're getting a deal.
Right, but like you're not. You're overall just paying the same amount. You're just, they're just making you, they're marketing it in a way to make you feel like you're benefiting from what they're doing. And I think it's a good strategy. I do. But I think that obviously with political propaganda and going back to that, we can see it as an issue.
Yeah. I've definitely been persuaded by things I see on social media, just as everyone else is. Abby, like what you said, I've definitely been influenced to buy things or, you know, watch a movie that I saw on TikTok. In terms of fake news, I like to think that I have pretty good media literacy and I don't easily fall for propaganda. However, I'm sure some things slip through the cracks, especially if it's something in support of my own beliefs. Abby, I know you were talking like ads and online shopping, and I want to get your guys' opinion, because I know I've definitely seen, especially on TikTok, ads for things where the ad is completely AI. Completely.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like,
and
how
I still bought it.
Yeah.
I bought something the other day from one of those. I was like, oh, it's completely AI. Like the words are gibberish.
No, yeah. It's I feel like people are just using AI for everything, and like you know, even like I saw something on TikTok a few months ago about a fully AI TV show or something.
I know there's like singers out there that are like AI.
Yeah, like, and it's kind of crazy to think about, because you're like, you know what, like that could be helpful, you know, like that would make our lives easier. People don't have to go through all of that to record the song or make the video, like star in the movie. But then you also have to look at it like we're allowing a computer to take over our job. Work. Yeah. So it's like, is this worth the profit that you're going to make right now for the rest of the society to be wiped out by AI? Like, unfortunately, you said you're political science, and then you're comm, right? Or no, you're education.
I'm comm, but going into education.
Okay, yeah. So I'm a communications major and like going into marketing. So it's kind of scary to think about that, like my job, if this keeps
so many jobs are at risk.
My job is at a huge risk. Like the job market is super hard right now. Like there's no jobs. I've applied to like 30 different places. I've gotten 2 interviews back. And it's very frustrating because I feel like I'm doing something wrong, but I know I'm not really doing anything wrong. It's just the fact that like these businesses don't need us anymore because they can just ask ChatGPT to do it. They can generate it in 5 seconds instead of paying somebody $20 an hour. It benefits the company, but it doesn't benefit the younger generations that are trying to like keep our environment or society going, you know? So it's like, where do we go with that? Like, what do you guys think that we could do to not, what do you guys think we could do to help our younger generations, you know, like progress?
I feel like definitely like what the Finnish children are doing, like learning media literacy from a young age, like definitely helps know what's fake, what's real, what's AI, how to use AI, stuff like that. I feel like that would definitely benefit them.
Right.
I think definitely teaching the people, and then also it's hard now because AI is like so new that there isn't really any laws or bills passed about it, but I hope in the future that there's going to be some stronger limitations, not only to what we can create and post, but also to, jobs and like not giving away all the jobs to AI.
Right. And I think just like regulation would be really helpful for overall, like everybody,
Yeah. Going back to persuasion, like I've definitely been persuaded by social media and fake news. I agree with what you said, Abby, that the wording is extremely important. The way a message is framed shapes the way people receive and interpret it. Similarly, like if emotional words are used, people are going to feel emotions, whether it's the same emotion or the opposite emotion. Kailey, you were saying you think you have good media literacy. I've actually taken like a quiz for one of my classes that told us how media literate we were, to say, and I thought I was going to do better because I've had like experience, training, education in this, but I was marked as average in some aspects, but others I was like phenomenal, and I was like, okay, like, I feel a little better, but overall I was only average. I also think it's important to discuss like the statistics of fake news and social media. According to Pew, 54% of social media users in the United States aged 20 to 25 say they regularly get their news from Facebook, 41% from YouTube, 41% from Instagram, and 59% from Twitter or X. So the majority of United States adults say they sometimes get news from social media, which I definitely get my news from social media. I feel like, however, social media is like extremely... It could go either way. In another study conducted by MIT, it had been proven that fake news actually spreads faster than the truth on social media apps like Twitter or X. Another example of fake news propaganda is Pizzagate from 2016. Have either of you heard of that?
Yes, I have.
This was a widely known conspiracy theory that a pizza store in DC, I believe, was the host of an underground child sex trafficking ring led by Democrats. This was obviously proven to be fake, but Republicans who were in charge, not in charge, but kind of facilitating the fake news, were successful in targeting political opponents during the campaign season, and with the release of the Epstein files, it's actually now being brought up again. I think it's worth looking into the connections between the two, because there are definitely some interesting coincidences, even though it has been proven to be fake. It's just a coincidence as of right now. Pizzagate traveled mostly through social media and news networks, and the app Reddit was like the main channel for this. People use this app to share conspiracy theories and outlandish thoughts and kind of anything they want.
I do agree with you. It's becoming a lot more popular. So this brings me to my question. Do you think that social media should be kept out of politics completely? And do you feel like, how do you feel that politics impact? How do you feel political campaigns impact the message to the audience when the political campaign is used through like AI or whatever?
Yeah. I don't think that social media should or really can be kept out of politics. It's an important and growing channel of communication, and where a lot of people, myself included, get a lot of their information. Although I admit so many of the issues we are seeing do stem from social media, I think it's too important of a channel to get rid of. Some sites, our Stagwell report says that a little over half of U.S. adults, it was like 54% of U.S. adults get their news from social media, and 85% of younger people, so that's Gen Z and millennials, get their news from social media. So it is very important.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually possible for social media to be kept out of politics, but I think there should definitely be limitations to it. Like, I don't think people should be posting on it like Trump, but I think it's a great way to reach a wider and more broad audience. It helps you reach people who might not be watching the news, might not have access to a news channel. It allows politicians to directly communicate with the public rather than using a traditional channel like the news. However, social media information can often be misinterpreted, and when in politics, the wrong message can definitely be put across, leading to the spread of fake news. Like with the video from Mexico, like those were all shared on social media, and that like spread so quickly, and I feel like because it was misinformation, that makes it spread faster. And shortly after, like everyone in the airport had seen the video, even though, because of social media, even though they were right there and they could look out the window and see that it wasn't happening.
So, do you think that using fake news as propaganda during a political campaign season and during election year has any positives to it, or can it only be seen as a negative?
I think in terms of fake news, using fake news during a campaign is a big negative and should be heavily monitored. I remember seeing Photoshop pictures, we'll insert them here, of Kamala Harris with sex offenders like P. Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein. To anyone who cared to look into it could find out that they were fake, but most people just absorb the information and keep scrolling.
Yeah, I think using fake news as propaganda during a political campaign season or during an election year can really only be seen negatively. In my opinion, when someone uses fake news to try to sway the votes, they should be seen as less than. It's just they're using lies to try to gain appreciation in a way, and I just think it's immature. I think if anything good comes out of fake news, the public is essentially rewarding lying and manipulation. If because of fake news propaganda, if that leads someone to win an election, the public was, just because of that, the public was rewarding lying by voting for this person. So one example of fake news negatively affecting an election campaign that is the easiest to think of, like I said, is when Donald Trump said the 2020 election was rigged after he lost, which made the public lose trust in the election process. This is our third piece of propaganda. It's The Onion. This is their homepage. It's a satirical news outlet. Everything is fake or inspired by, fake news inspired by real news. So like you can just look at any of the articles. Human arm hanging quickly out of food delivery robot, like Kim Jong-un can't believe his daughter. Like, it's very clearly fake. I feel like when I was in high school, I learned how to write a journalism article, and my teacher gave us an assignment where we had to write a story based on information from The Onion, and we didn't think anything of it, but when we looked elsewhere to get more information to kind of back it up, we quickly discovered that the information on The Onion was all fake. Like I said, The Onion is all satirical, and it often deceives people because it does such a good job, which leads to questions about media literacy and its place in education. Propaganda happens when people believe it is real and spread as true. The Onion is easily persuasive. It looks very real. It looks exactly like any other news website with the ads, which I'm sure the ads are even fake too, actually. So it uses real names. Like one of the articles we looked at included names like Zillow and Nextdoor, which are obviously real websites. It includes both real and fictional current events, and the articles are fast-paced, leading to readers easily mistaking it as factual. It targets people who don't follow politics and those who don't understand satire and those who are actually in politics. The content is easily shared without context, leading for people to believe it is real news. It has both short-term and long-term effects. The short-term effects include humoring its readers and, like I said, like it's a satirical source, but the long-term effects are more negative because they are at risk of unintentionally spreading misinformation online.
So do you guys think that there is a place for satirical news outlets in our economy today? Do you think that they cause more harm than good?
I do think that there is still space for satirical news. Things like The Onion and Saturday Night Live are some fan favorites. Yes, sure, some people can take them as facts. But the point of those sources is that they're so outlandish that people can pretty quickly realize that they're kind of just for fun and kind of just poking fun at these people.
I agree with you in some ways, but also at the same time, I feel like there's no place because they have the opportunity to make fun of and bring light to dark situations. So I feel like they could have a place, but I think because they cause so much harm, like so many people think that they are legit and not satirical, like they are misinformed and share that information further along. Like if I'm just scrolling on Instagram, sometimes a post from The Onion shows up and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy, like I'm about to share it with my friends, and then I'm like, oh, it's from The Onion, and I know that it's fake, but just people might not think to look and realize. So I think that that's like one way to further spread fake news. I think in the short run, like they definitely do provide the humor that they intend to, but in the long run, I feel like they cause more harm than good.
Right. I definitely agree with both of your points. I think that it has benefits and negatives. So, when have you experienced fake news in your own personal life?
I live in like a politically mixed town. I actually looked it up, and it's purple, so it's 50-50. So on top of that, my family is also pretty divided, very close to 50-50. And I remember during COVID, half of my family wanted me to get vaccinated, and they wanted me to be extremely cautious in quarantine, while the other half didn't really care what I did and was actually more against me getting vaccinated. And the same thing, like when the pandemic started, they wanted me to quarantine, while the other half was annoyed that they couldn't get their hair cut because nothing was open. And the conflicting ideas actually stemmed, I think, from what my family watched on my news. Like I said earlier, a lot of my grandparents watch Fox News, and the other watches NBC, CBS, and CNN, a lot more liberal news organizations. So the side that was against it and didn't really believe in it obviously watched Fox News. I think it was really interesting. It shows you how where you get your news from matters, because no one was able to form opinions. They were just believing what they got from the news, what the news was telling them. And I believe that what was being shared on Fox News was fake news because there was no evidence supporting their claims. It's turned more from giving out factual information to more being opinion-based news sources.
So I feel like fake news I see online is always on my social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I feel like there's a ton of fake news on Twitter, but specifically I saw a post claiming that, back to the Jeffrey Epstein thing, that Jeffrey Epstein was found alive. The post looked super real and convincing. It had the same dynamic that a traditional news outlet headline and structure would be. So any person that isn't very educated on the media or media literacy would 100% believe it, And I know there's a lot of conspiracies about if he is alive, if he's dead, whatever, So posting something like this is very misleading and difficult because a lot of people know about it but don't understand the full extent of what these people are doing when posting. I ended up checking the source and evaluating the post. I came to the conclusion, obviously, that it was fake, but it kind of just reminded me of how easy it is to believe things without verifying them. I feel like since then I've definitely tried to be more careful about checking certain information sources and factual evidence.
Yeah, I saw those pictures too, Abby, about Epstein being alive, and obviously I kind of was like, I don't believe that, but to the untrained eye, they are pretty convincing.
Right. It's very unsettling. It's a very difficult topic when half of the group is just thinking one thing and the other's not. And so for our next question, how do you feel that fake news impacts the public's trust?
I think that fake news impacts the public's trust by eating away at the trust we have in journalism. If we can't trust journalists who are supposed to tell us the truth, what can we trust? We certainly can't trust the politicians who are known for being conniving, and people then lose their trust in the government because of that. So right now, I feel like the only person we have to trust is journalists and journalism, but because of so much fake news, we don't. We also, when we lose trust in the government, we lose trust in the election process and its integrity, which, like I said before, not to sound like a broken record, but can lead to drastic things happening. And not only that, their confidence in democracy declines.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I'd say the term fake news has actually maybe done more damage than fake news itself. Obviously, social media is filled with fake things, AI and all sorts of propaganda and dog whistles. However, ever since Donald Trump really coined the term fake news in 2016, he hasn't let it go. He's in the White House press room shouting at reporters, calling them fake news and junk reporters. I mean, these are the most credible outlets in the country, and these are the most credible journalists in that press room. So when the president brushes it off as fake news, what else is going to get brushed off?
So to go off of that, do you guys think that certain emotions tend to spread fake news faster?
I think emotions definitely tend to spread fake news faster, especially on social media. When people see something that incites strong emotions in them, they're more inclined to react, respond, and repost before confirming that it's true. Sometimes people share things that they believe to be true when they're fake before even any counter argument comes out saying that it's fake news. And if something makes you feel good, you want to share it with others. Like I was saying earlier, I'd see something funny and share it. My emotions immediately, I want to share it before I check. Usually I check because I've fallen for it too many times now. Mm-hmm. But and then vice versa, if something makes you feel bad, you want to share it to alert others of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in such a polarized time like today, anything that can tear down the other side or lift up your own side is going to spread like wildfire. I think people seem more concerned with winning or beating the other side than they are with finding the actual truth.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that people's opinions influence what they believe to be fake or true?
100%. When I was talking about COVID earlier, what people watch tends to be the only place they get their news from. And when it comes from news outlets, the public tends to have very strong opinions about what's the best news source, what's the worst, what's the most reliable, etc., etc. So if something aligns with their political stance, they're more likely to see it as true, and vice versa. If it goes against their political beliefs, they'll see it as fake. And if something, like I just said, makes you feel strong emotions, you're more likely to believe it. For example, if I see something in the news about ICE and their brutality towards innocents, I obviously feel angry and end up believing it. Usually it's true. But this is an example of fear-mongering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like your answer, Kat. To go off the ICE example, remember when they killed Renee Good and ICE officials and government officials were all saying she was trying to run the officer over with her car? To the crowd that supports ICE and what they do, that becomes the truth. But to people unsupportive of ICE, it was an unnecessary murder. And the same thing goes for the killing of Alex Preddy. When the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem gets up in front of a platform and says that he was a domestic terrorist there with a gun to massacre law enforcement, that becomes the truth, despite, the video and the evidence showing the complete opposite.
So I've already brought it up so much, but let's discuss the 2020 election and the fake news that surrounded it. So Trump claims that the election was rigged, obviously, despite having no credible evidence to support his claim. There was recounts, everything showed that it was true. We all know he lost, but he couldn't accept this. His emotions encouraged him to share fake news. So like we were saying, emotions definitely encourage you to not share fake news always, but in his case, yes. He uses social media more than any other president, and this was the main channel that he shared his news on. And this discourse around the election fueled political polarization. They were more angry at each other than ever before. I don't remember which election. I think 2016, honestly, his first election was the election with the most political polarization. And then I think the next year was, again, this was more than last year. It just goes up and up every time he runs the incidents. So many people believed what he was saying and got about his fake news, got together to storm the Capitol on January 6th. So fake news can definitely lead to drastic actions like this one.
Yeah, last year I actually wrote a whole paper about the rhetoric President Trump used that incited the riot, and very clear examples that his words and his posts did. We can't really blame fake news in this case, though, can we? This was blatant lies and propaganda out of a president's mouth. We can tie this into social media. On January 6th, Donald Trump tweeted 25 times. I'm going to read a few tweets for you. They just happened to find 50,000 ballots late last night. The U.S. is embarrassed by fools. Our election process is worse than half of the third world countries. And other tweets egging on the insurrectionists like, get smart, Republicans, fight. The attack on the Capitol is what happens when propaganda, fake news mix with high power people on social media.
Right. I definitely agree with that. I think that this whole discussion today has really educated all of us on politics and propaganda. I feel like I've learned a lot from you guys, and I think that propaganda in politics is an issue that needs to be handled at some point before it gets worse, So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Manufactured Reality, Fake News in Politics. We've explored the rise of AI and political propaganda, the real-world consequences of fake news, and the critical importance of media literacy in helping people separate fact from fiction. A big thank you to my co-host, Kat Livingston, and our guest, Kailey Lockwood, and of course our engineer, Christian. And thank you to all of you for listening and engaging with our platform today and engaging on how important we feel about this topic. As we've discussed, misinformation isn't going away, but by questioning sources, verifying information, and critically thinking, we can protect ourselves from effects of fake news. This episode was created as a part of our coursework for Professor Renee Hobbs, Propaganda, at the University of Rhode Island. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a like and comment, and share this episode with your friends and family. Your engagement helps spread awareness and encourages more critical thinking about the media we consume. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and always double check your sources. Thank you.